Imagine a world where every single asthma patient followed their treatment plan flawlessly. Well, stay tuned for 5 practical hacks to make this a reality. Hi guys, welcome back to RTs Share Tea, where respiratory therapists live out loud. With me, your host, Linda Fry, the Asthma Lady. Yes, welcome everyone. Welcome to anyone new. And today we are talking about how to get your patients to follow their asthma management plans with 5 simple hacks. Okay, so imagine you are with your patient and, in a doctor's office, in your office, and, you have this tailored plan for them to get their asthma under control. But as you progressively work with them, you notice that things are not changing. So we are going to go over some simple tips to get them to adhere to these treatment plans. Tip number 1, guide them in keeping essentials tools accessible. Okay, so what that means is we want them to keep these essential tools accessible. Things like asthma action plans. Once you give them a written asthma action plan, you explain what it is, give them advice on where they can keep it so that they can remember the details of the asthma action plan. Now remember, out of sight, out of mind, right? So tell them to put it somewhere that they can see it daily. Something like the refrigerator, right? Put some nice magnets right on top of it on the fridge, and boom, there it is, right then and there, whenever you need it. Okay, yes. We also have our spacers, right? So a spacer is a tool that helps with coordination when it comes to using an inhaler. So make sure that they understand what a spacer is and that it is an essential tool to use with their inhaler, right? So making sure that they put it in a place that they can remember when they need it, okay? So the tip that I give my patients is to put it in their underwear drawer. Put it in their underwear drawer, right? And if they don't wear underwear, TMI, put it in the drawer that they use most often. So if you're near the beach area, put it in your swimsuit drawer, sock drawer, so any drawer that they use on a regular, so they can see it and know where it is exactly for when they need it. And also putting the inhaler itself somewhere where they can find it. Tell them the junk drawer or miscellaneous drawer is typically not the drawer to put your inhaler in, especially if it is covered with random things, right? So it might be a miss. Don't forget, during asthma episodes and flare-ups, sometimes people are panicky, right? So we're just looking. And so giving them advice to put it somewhere where it's easy to see and that they can remember. And remember, inhalers, we want to make sure that we tell them to put it somewhere where it's not damp or exposed to a lot of heat. Tip number 2, use of reminders and alarms. So we want to remind patients that using their ICS, their inhaled corticosteroids, is something that they should be doing consistently, especially if that's how the treatment plan, their asthma action plan, is written. So what I usually do to keep patients adherent to their their use of ICS is I try to ask them if they feel comfortable using their phone as a reminder and putting an alarm on the phone right now. So asking them to put a reminder on their phone while they are at the visit with you, because this gives them the opportunity to take action right now, right away. And this will be a good way to just get them to remember versus like, oh, okay, I can do that later. And so if they put it on the phone right now, best bet that the alarm will go off and they'll be like, oh, I forgot that I had put that alarm on my phone to remind me to take my ICS. Oh, and also don't forget to tell them that even if they feel better, that they should continue to take their ICS. So the common thing that patients do is once they feel better, they don't feel like the medication is necessary. So remember to give them education on why it's not a good idea to break up the treatment plan of taking their medication consistently. And you can also mention the use of medication tracker apps on their phone. Plenty of these apps around that are for free, available for free. So if you feel like this will be useful to your patient, don't forget to mention this as well. Tip number 3. Blend medication use into routines they're already using, into their daily routine. So things like you want to recommend patients to use their medication if they're forgetting, to use it during times that they already have an active routine. So things like a morning coffee, for those that like social media and they like to use their phone first thing in the morning when they get up and do that scroll through their favorite social media platform, maybe that could be the thing to remind them to take their medication. So attach it to those things. So things like morning prayers. If your patient mentions that they pray every morning, so maybe you can attach the medication routine to that morning prayer. It will remind them to take the medication. So ask patients, what are they into? What do they do on a regular already? And this can be a useful tip for them to remind them to take their treatment plan. And this way it's more automatic versus bothersome. Tip number 4. Prioritizing medication when leaving the home. So I like to use an acronym that is easy to remember. I myself have asthma and I change purses often. So a tip that I have for myself is PWK. So what that stands for: pump, wallet, keys. Right? So the 3 things I want in my bag that I transfer from purse to purse or backpack to backpack automatically. The phone and everything else is a given, but those 3 things I need. So I transfer those first. So give your patients a tip, something like that, where they can remember their inhaler every day. Or they could use something like an inhaler holder on their keychain, right? So most people travel with keys, right? So this can also be helpful. Recommend them to get one of those holders, and there's a bunch of cute and fancy ones on things like Amazon and Etsy, so you could send them on a little shopping trip. And we also can't forget those long trips, right? Things like weekend trips, family trips, to prioritize taking the medication, right? So for example, once again, I have asthma, and things like traveling to see my family in Georgia, I have to deal with more pollen when I go over there and weather changes. So what that means is my allergy medication and my inhaler has to travel with me just in case of emergency. So make sure you are giving patients examples of why it's very important to travel with your inhaler, because you never know when you're going to need it, especially when being away from home. So remember, wherever they go, the inhaler goes. Tip number 5, engage patients with open conversation and demonstration. You want to use things like motivational interview questions. So what that means is you are using questions that are not easy to answer with a yes or no answer. You want to hear the patient tell their story. So a very powerful statement that I like to use: please tell me. Please, Ms. Jackson, tell me, how is it going with your inhaled corticosteroids? And from there, you can see the body language and go with the answer from there, right? And then if they tell you something that you're not unclear, you can continue to say, okay, please do tell me more. So almost like when that kid is asking why, because you want to get to the bottom of what the problem is, what the concern is, the barrier. And this really opens up a dialogue and engages your patient. Also, reviewing things like inhaler technique is very important, and this is another way to engage your patient. You are giving them an activity to do versus you just speaking at the patient. So you can do inhaler technique where you watch the patient use their inhaler in front of you, and you can right then and there, give them an A for effort and just correct whatever is off, or just showing them a better way, and engaging them with return demonstration. Right? So we will use inhaler technique, right? So show them how to do it, or let them show you how they're already doing it. And then we have the corrective demonstration, we have them return the demonstration. Yes, and yes. All right, guys. So I hope you learned something from me here today. Think about using these 5 hacks, and let me know if you see a difference in your patients' adherence to their asthma self-management plans. And let me know if you have anything that you use, any tricks in your bag that helps your patient with their asthma self-management. And let me know. Let's talk and have these conversations. If you like these topics, if you like this episode, and these type of topics, please subscribe to our channel for health related content just like this. Remember, we are growing together. We are here on most podcast platforms on Wednesdays and on YouTube on Thursdays. Remember, asthma management is not about perfection. It's about progress. Remember to meet your patients where they are right now. See you next time. Bye.